Oh, we live. Okay. Let me switch to this. Just to that one. All right. All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. We are live. Um, we're about to do this right quick. About to do this. Welcome to Spiritual Food Controversy. Gonna deal with this Hebrew, dealing with this renewed testament. Was it written originally in Hebrew? Because you have some people saying that this is dealing with this is a Greek book, that the New Testament, or the Renewed Testament more accurately, is a Greek book. So I'm gonna go to some verses and stuff to show this is not no Greek book. It was originally penned in Hebrew. But before I begin, I got to give all praises, and I do mean all praises, to the Creator of all, the Holy One of Israel, the Ancient of Days, the Father, his name in Hebrew, which means I am, he is, or calls us to be. And we pay homage to his first begotten Son, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, Christ Jesus in English, which means anointed Savior or anointed salvation. And to all of our spiritual brothers that's guiding us and protecting us, if we continue to do the Most High and Christ's work. And as our brother Jude puts it in his letter, for us to contend for the faith that was once delivered to the saints. And with that, let me introduce the brother that's reading for me tonight, my brother Shuri Shaddai. Shabbat Shalom, Ak. Ak, you there? Shuri.
Man, come on with these extras.
Okay, brother, I'm bringing you on. Shabbat Shalom, Ak, you there? I guess he's having technical difficulties. He cannot hear what's going on right now. Well, I'm going to start. I'm going to start up then. Get right to the information. All
Shabbat
right.
shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm gonna get right to the information, brother. Let me
Okay.
share. Let me go ahead and I'm getting ready to share my screen right quick so we can go ahead and get this started. All right, 1 second here.
Man, enemy busy tonight.
Yeah, 1 second here. Share I have. Share my screen. There we go. All right, so we have it here. I got to share this from my email. I had time to put it over into a PowerPoint, but we're gonna go off into it. So we hear uh, the lost gospels deciphered. Okay, in the turbulent times of medieval Spain, in a community converted Jews. 1 second here. This is not what I'm looking for. This is not what I'm looking for. That's not it. Here we go. All right, we got the right one. So the Renewed Testament was originally written in Hebrew and not Greek. So this is the one I'm looking for here. We about to start. We can go down and read it. It says, although the survival of Hebrew as a spoken language until the Byzantine period is well known among Hebrew linguists, there remains a lag in awareness among some historians who do not necessarily keep up to speed with linguistic research and rely on outdated scholarship. Nevertheless, the vigor of Hebrew is slowly but surely making its way through the academic literature. The Hebrew of the Dead Sea Scroll distinguishes the Dead Sea Scroll Hebrew from the various dialects of biblical Hebrew it evolved out of. This book presents the specific feature of the Dead Sea Scroll Hebrew, emphasizing deviation from classical biblical Hebrew. Okay, the Orthodox Dictionary of the Christian Church, that one said in 1958, in its first edition, Hebrew ceased to be a spoken language around the 4th century BC. So that's around the time, about the time that they came out of the Babylonian captivity. So the Oxford Dictionary is saying that it ceased to be a language, a spoken language. It says in 1997, in its 3rd edition, Hebrew continued to be used as a spoken and written language in the New Testament period. So now it's changing what it says, because you have some out there that's still saying that Hebrew ceased to be a spoken language around the 4th century BC. And you see clearly here that this source, the Orthodox Dictionary, has changed that stands, because information is coming out that that's incorrect, that Hebrew remained to be a spoken and written language from that time. It says an introductory grammar of Rabbinic Hebrew says it is generally believed that the Dead Sea Scroll, specifically the Copper Scrolls, and also the Bar Kokhba letters, have furnished clear evidence of the popular character of the Hebrew language. All right, cool. Go to Josephus. Josephus was a first century Jewish historian who recorded Jewish life and sentiment during the time of the New Testament or Renewed Testament. In his work, Antiquity of the Jews, he writes, I have also taken great deal of pains to obtain the learning of the Greeks and understanding the elements of the Greek language, although I have so long accustomed myself to speak our own language that I cannot pronounce Greek with sufficient exactness, for our nation does not encourage those that learn the language of many nations. So that's Josephus Antiquities 2011 and 2. So we see it was not something pushed at that time in the first century to be learning other languages in Israel. Okay, archaeological evidence of a Semitic so-called New Testament. For many years, it has been taught that Greek and Aramaic were the language of Israel during the Second Temple period. That's 530 BC to 7 AD. However, over the past 50 years, more and more evidence has surfaced that the language of the Jews in Israel during the time was in fact Hebrew. Below are some of the discoveries supporting this theory, or this actually fact, because this is proof. The first one we have is in 135 CE, Shimon ben Kosaba. This is actually his name written on this letter here. Okay, and this is like 100 years after Christ. All right. It says, led the final revolt against the Romans. The image below is a fragment of a parchment that begins from Shimon ben Kosaba to Yeshua ben Galgolai, and to the men of the fort, peace. This is a letter from Shimon himself to one of the leaders in the revolt, and it is written in Hebrew. They can look at it. This is not in the square script. This is some paleo script here, and it's starting to go and deviate into another script. So in the deviation, but in 135 AD or CE, 100 years after Christ, they were still writing. You can see here in Paleo Hebrew. This is the proof. All right. So it did not cease to be a spoken or written language, even 100 years after Christ. That's clear proof that the Gospels clearly was written in Hebrew, because it was still a written and spoken language, even 100 years after the time of the Messiah. Coming on down. All coins minted in Israel during the Second Temple period, including inscriptions written in Hebrew. The coin on the left is written in late Semitic script, bearing the inscription Jerusalem or Jerusalem. The coin on the right is written in the Middle Paleo Hebrew script with the word Shema or Shemai. So here on the right we have the Shah, we have the Ma, and we have the I. So that's actually Shemai in Paleo Hebrew, and then we have the other one here in the late Semitic script, Jerusalem here. All right. So we can see the Paleo script was still in use. Coming on down, we all familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls. And many scrolls and thousands of fragments uncovered in the Dead Sea caves were written between 100 CE and 70 AD. Some of these scrolls and fragments are of biblical books, but others are works concerning day-to-day business. Of all of these scrolls and fragments, approximately 90% are written in Hebrew, while only 5% in Aramaic, okay, and 5% in Greek. While most of the Hebrew inscriptions use the late Hebrew script, some of them use the more ancient early Paleo script, such as the image below, which is a portion of the book of Leviticus. So even in Aramaic script, when you get to the Most High's name, his name is left in Paleo Hebrew, even in the box script, right? So we have that. Okay. Now going off into proof that there is a Hebrew original of the book of Matthew. We can get some witnesses from church fathers. So proof of original Hebrew Matthew is the overwhelming number of church fathers who had stated that the book of Matthew was originally written in Hebrew. We got Papias, 150 to 170 CE. Matthew composed the words of the Hebrew dialect, and each translated as he was able. This is quoted from Eusebius in his works, Ecclesiasticus History, 339. Papias was bishop of Hierapolis. Irenaeus, 170 CE, writes, Matthew also issued a written gospel among the Hebrews in their own dialect. This is against heresies, 3 and 1. Irenaeus was bishop of Lyons. This is in France. Origen, 210 CE, the first gospel is written according to Matthew, the same that was once a tax collector, but afterward an apostle of Yahushua, Jesus Christ, who having published it for the Jews, the Jewish believers, wrote it in Hebrew. And this is a quote from Eusebius again, is Ecclesiasticus Work History 6:25. The first gospel composed in the Hebrew language was written by Matthew for those who came to faith from Judaism. So you have certain people that came out of Judaism, of that Pharisaic oral tradition and man-made laws. So we see some of them in the book of Acts, the 15th chapter, where you have some Pharisees that said that believed, that came out of it. Paul was also one of them as well. He was converted by the Messiah. So we see here, this was one of the reasons why it was composed in Hebrew for them that came out of that Judaism stuff, because that's what they spoke at that time. They spoke Paleo-Hebrew. We have Eusebius again in 350. We have Eusebius 315 CE. Matthew also having first proclaimed the gospel in Hebrew, when on the point of going also to the other nations, because that they were sent, because Israel was scattered to the other nations. He says he committed it to write in his native tongue, and thus supplied the want of his presence to them by his writing. Ecclesiastical History is 3:24. I'm giving you the source. Epiphanes is 370 CE. They, speaking of Nazarenes, have the gospel according to Matthew quite complete in Hebrew. For this gospel is certainly still preserved among them, as it was first written in Hebrew letters. Okay, this is this Panarayon. This is 29:94. So that's the source for that. We all the way in 370 now. We're going to Jerome. He's in 382. Matthew, who is also Levi, and from a tax collector, came to be an apostle, first of all evangelists, composed a gospel of Christ in Judea in the Hebrew language and letters. For the benefit of those of the circumcision, this word is being used a lot by Paul, and in the Acts, it says, who had believed, who translated it into Greek, okay, is not sufficiently ascertained. So now say it's not a complete sufficient translation into the Greek. There's a lot of stuff that's not accurately coming across, and I'm gonna read that out of the Apocrypha. Furthermore, the Hebrew itself is preserved to this day in the library of Caesarea, which the martyr Pamphilus so diligently collected. I also was allowed by the Nazarenes to use this volume in the Syrian city of Berea to copy it, in which is to be remarked that whenever the evangelist makes use of the testimonies of the Old Testament, he does not follow the authority of the 70 translators. Speaking of the Septuagint, he was not quoting the Septuagint. So Matthew wasn't quoting the Septuagint. He was quoting from a Hebrew manuscript, not from the Septuagint, but that of the Hebrew. Okay, and this is the source. Lives on Illustrious Men, Book 5. So we're going all the way now to 850. Okay, I show that 850 CE. His Matthew's book was in existence in Caesarea of Palestine, and everyone acknowledged that he wrote it with his hands in Hebrew. I saw that commentary on the gospel. This is all the way in 850. They're still saying that it was originally penned in Hebrew. Okay, contained within the Greek text of the New Testament are many Hebrew words and phrases that have been translated from the Hebrew language into the Greek language. While many of these have been described as being Aramaic, there is no textual evidence to suggest that these are Aramaic rather than Hebrew, as the Aramaic and Hebrew language are very similar. Okay, we're gonna get some PhD person that's going to also say the same thing, who agrees with that particular understanding. The New Testament was originally written in Hebrew, as the following scholars agree. So we have Bevan, Blizzard, Grant, Loisley, Scunnerfield, Trim, Minge, Segal, Dam, etc. All these, they all raised the flag regarding the New Testament as being originally written in Hebrew and not Greek or Aramaic. Source here is Hebrew New Testament by Dr. D. Briggs, PhD, Walden University. There are debates raging concerning the destruction of scrolls of the New Testament because they contain the divine name of the Most High of God in Hebrew. This debate clearly documents that the gospel was written in Hebrew in early church history. You can find this. This is in the Babylonian Talmud. These one that was against them, and they're trying to destroy their writing because they was writing in Paleo Hebrew, and they had the Most High's name in there because they felt that you're not supposed to speak the Most High name. But the apostles, in their writing, they was putting the Most High's name in their writings, and they wanted to destroy it. So this is in the Babylonian Talmud, Shabbat 11:6a, Jerusalem Talmud, Shabbat 15c, and you can also find this in the Tosafeta, Shabbat 13:5. Okay, Matthew had first preached to the Hebrews, and when he was about to go to others also, he transmitted his gospel in writing in his native tongue. Ecclesiasticus History 3:24-6. Both the church fathers, as well as recently discovered Dead Sea Scrolls, state quite clearly and without any equivocation that Hebrew was the language spoken and written at that time of the Messiah and his disciples. Hebrew New Testament by Dr. D. Briggs, PhD, Walden University. Now we're going to dive into some stuff in the text to show textually that it was an Hebrew original. We first going to come to the book of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, it is the phrase Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. This Matthew 27, verse 46. This was Christ quoting Psalms 22. This Greek translation of the Hebrew phrase Eli, Eli, lama. This says here now. See, this one here says sabachthani, but in there when they bringing it, they're using a different Hebrew word here. It's Eli, Eli, lama shavak tanai, and which means, my God, why have you left me, or more accurately, forsaken me? The first word is the word Eli, which is the word El, give your Strong's number 410, meaning God. And then with the suffix, we have a suffix, I, meaning my. All right. So in Paleo Hebrew, that would be Yah. Okay, that's what it would be. And in Paleo Hebrew, El would be Allah. Okay, so that would be in Paleo Hebrew, you would have Allah, Yah. Okay, my God. The second word is the same as the first. The third word is the word lama, which is the Hebrew word for ma. Strong's number 3964, meaning what, with a prefix of el, which is la, meaning to. Combine this meaning is going to be to what or why. Okay. The fourth word is the verb shavak. So while this Hebrew word does not appear in the Hebrew Bible because it's the wrong Hebrew word, the correct Hebrew word is azab. It's an equal verb stem, which means to leave, loosen, forsake. So now I put it here. I copied and pasted it here. So we have it here. Azab, to leave, lose, forsaken, is an equal stem. It's to leave, depart from, leave behind, leave, Let alone, leave out, abandon, forsake, neglect, apostatize, to let loose, set free, let go free. Okay. The suffix t or ta in Paleo Hebrew is going to be ata, which means you, identifies the subject of the verb as you. And the suffix ani in Paleo Hebrew is anya, which would be I or me, identifies the object of the verb as me. You leave me, or you left me, or you have forsaken me. And this verb shavak that they use, while this Hebrew word does not appear in the Hebrew Bible, shavah without the Q does. And I bring in here the Strong's number 7768, shavah, and this is the pronunciation of it. I want to go through all of that. Okay, you can pause the video and take a look at that, and it appears 21 times in the Bible. Okay, so you can see there's a different Hebrew word that they have there. Coming on down, another example from the book of Matthew 12, verse 5. We have the word Sabbaton, Strong's number G4521, which it's a Greek translation of the Hebrew word Sabbaton. We have it here, which Hebrew means Shabbat or rest. So we still see Paleo Hebrew that remains inside of even the English language, all the way coming out of the Greek. These Hebrew words are still preserved in there. We got Mark 7:11. We find the Greek word Korban, Strong's number G2878, which is the Greek translation of the Hebrew word Korban. Strong's number H7133. This Hebrew word means an offering. Okay, we got Mark 5:41, and he took the damsel by the hand and said unto her, Talitha Kumai, which is being interpreted, damsel, I say unto thee, arise. So you can see clearly here, this word Kumai, this is Paleo Hebrew. This is clearly Paleo Hebrew, because today we say Kwam, which means to rise. You say Kwam Yasha'Allah, right? Which is K-U-M, Kwam, and I, which I say rise, right? I say to rise. So you can see here, this is Paleo Hebrew. It still remains inside of the text. All the way into the English, we see that Paleo Hebrew or Hebrew still remains in the text, right? And I copy and pasted to show you. This is in Mark 5. Talitha, Kumai. Talitha is Aramaic. Talitha, they said, is Aramaic. Is made Latin is Prula. Kumai or Kumi is Paleo Hebrew. All right. And we have the rest of it. Arise, occurs. So I have all this information here. You can read through it. We Hebrew Israelites say Kwam Yasha'Allah, so I have that information there too as well. You can pause the video and take a look at that. We also have Mark 14:36, and he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this from me, nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. We see Abba, which is Paleo Hebrew for father, remains even in the English translations, proving that it had a Hebrew origin. We still see these things in there, and we got Romans. We got Romans 8:15, Galatians 4:6. I put those in here. I want to read through all of that, but it has the Abba in there again. All of that we cry Abba, Father. We saw this is in Paul's writings. Okay, I'm going to touch on this some more later on. So showing you that Paul's writing again is a Hebrew original, but I'm going to show you the text that they have found it. Okay. I'm gonna pull it up and we can see it, that they have it. All right. So we see it here in Luke as well. The subscription also was written over him in letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews. So we still see it here. They're writing in Hebrew, even in Luke 23:38. All right. You can find this also in this is St. John's chapter 19, verse 19. The same information is there, that they're still dealing with Hebrew, even all down in time of the Messiah and 100 years after. And so we got St. John's 19:20. We have the whole thing here. I want to read through all of it. You can go through it and you have it. what Pilate actually wrote. And that's what he wrote down there. Okay. Now, if Yeshua and the Jews spoke Aramaic, as many have been misled to believe, why is not Aramaic listed rather than Hebrew? Why is not Aramaic listed there when the text tells us what language it was written in? After all, this sign was written for the vast majority of Israelis, including the common folk. Just this single scriptural proof alone is overwhelming, compelling that Hebrew was very much alive and still in use in Israel at the time. Okay, I'm gonna get some more quotation from Dr. D. Briggs, PhD from Walden University. Hebrew was still very much alive during the Messiah's earthly ministry, and afterward it was. Whom should one trust? Man who has attempted to beguile many, or Scripture and Yeshua, Christ himself, trying to trick people, and obviously Saul, rather later known as the Apostle Paul, understood Hebrew, who was educated at the feet of a Hebrew-speaking scholar. This added proof that Hebrew was very active in Israel during the time of Yeshua, Christ, and beyond. Hebrew New Testament is the source by Dr. D. Briggs, PhD, Walden University. One more. Why would YHWH Yahweh inspire the disciples of Christ to write Yeshua's biography and teachings in a language that the Jews hated? That they didn't even want to deal with this with Greek, and that the apostles could not have known, which they were all Jewish. Does not make sense, does it? No, it doesn't. Well, truth is, he did not. This is in the Hebrew New Testament. Again, Dr. D. Briggs, PhD, Walden University, and we have a list there of verses that still have Hebrew in it. So we have all the verses here. You can, I guess you can pause the video and get all these verses here. All right. I want to scroll on down. So I got some Hebrew names here for the entire New Testament. You see Matthew, Mattai, Marcos, Lucas, Yohanan, Messay, Romaim, and so on and so forth, all the way down. So it's all the names here. Will be the Hebrew name for all of these writings originally in Hebrew. It's all of them here, all the way down to Revelations. Okay. So we have it here. Let me scroll back up so everybody can see that. Going to all of it. It's the Hebrew name original. Okay. Let me stop sharing my screen. I want brother to pull some scriptures here right quick before we go off into the other stuff. Okay, brother, you there?
Yep. Con.
Okay. Stop sharing my screen. All right. I want to put more proof that before you read that, I want to come to the book of the Apocrypha right quick. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna read this right quick. What make more sense that they should be writing in Hebrew? This is in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus. We're gonna go to the prologues right quick. Ecclesiasticus and the prologue. I want to read a portion here that speaks directly to the Hebrew. He talks about it. It says, "For the same things interpreted in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them." It doesn't have the same impact. It says, "And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language." Okay, so this is telling you here, right? So Sirach is telling you then this would be why the Most High would have them pen the Messiah's biography and his ministry, which is about a year, in Hebrew to give it the full impact of the Messiah's words. Would not pen it in Greek. These men didn't even know Greek like that. These were just regular men. These was not learned men like that. They acknowledge this. I want to get the verse that actually says this. Can I get Acts chapter 4, verse 13, brother? Acts chapter 4, verse 13. Let me see, can I pull this stuff up to it here? I don't need this.
Acts chapter 4, verse 13. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, and they perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled. And they took knowledge, they took knowledge of them that had been with Jesus.
Okay, so clearly you see that they when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, they perceived that they were unlearned. Okay, these was not educated men that had PhD and stuff like that. You know, they were just the regular man just knew Hebrew. They didn't knew all these different languages or Greek and stuff like that. So from there, I want to come to this clearly just showing you that. Let me get 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Let me get verse 25. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25.
First Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25. Because the foolishness.
Go ahead.
Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men.
Go ahead.
For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, nor many noble are called.
See that? So it ain't calling a whole bunch of PhDs and stuff like that. These are just regular laymen that they're called. Okay, this is what's happening here. This is who the Most High is called. Go ahead.
But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty.
All right, to confound the things which are mighty. Okay, that's what the Most High is doing. Go ahead.
And base things of the world and the things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are.
Right. So what the Most High did. So we clearly he's showing here the people he have chosen. These were not again not educated men. Some of them were considered to be base or ignorant or foolish or whatever you want to call them. But these are the men that the Most High have called. These are the men that are called into this thing. Okay. Go ahead.
That no flesh should glory in his presence.
So no one can glory in his presence. You know what I'm saying? So the ones that were called who wasn't all that, they can glory. And the ones who think they was all that, they was brought down by the ones who wasn't all that. So none of them can glory at all. Okay. Go ahead.
But of him are ye in Christ Jesus, who of God is made unto us wisdom and righteousness and sanctification and redemption.
All right. That's the last thing I want from you. I want to get 2 Peter chapter 3. Let me get 2 Peter chapter 3 to come back now and deal with Peter. Because we know it says Peter, they recognize that he was not a learned man. Okay. 2 Peter chapter 3, and when he's starting at verse 15. So we're going to show you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So we're going to show you here that Peter is going to speak on Paul's writings. Peter only knew Hebrew. Okay, so and just going to show you that Peter had all of Paul's writings. He knew all of Paul's writings. So they had to originally be penned in Hebrew for him to make this statement right here. So go ahead, Doc.
2 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. An account that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you.
So Peter is clearly here telling us that our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, have written unto you. Okay, go ahead.
As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, that are unlearned and unstable rests, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
Yes. Okay. So clearly here he's saying that also in all his episodes. See, he knew all of Paul's episodes. He says, speaking in them of those things. So Peter have read Paul's episodes. Okay, that's how he's making this statement. It says, in which are some things hard to be understood. All right, he's telling you here. The way Paul is putting it together, some things, he said, some things, not all things, but some things are hard to be understood. Why is it hard to be understood? It says, which they that are unlearned and unstable. Okay, unlearned and unstable. See, Peter didn't catch some of this stuff himself. It says, and unstable. It says rest. Rest means they twist this stuff, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destruction. So even in Peter's time, he's telling you that the things Paul was writing, the way Paul was penning this stuff down, this stuff was hard to understand the way he was explaining it. So, and Peter read all this stuff, and Peter knew it, but he knew also the way Paul was saying this stuff in Hebrew, because he can read what he was saying. Some of this stuff is hard to understand, right? Because we see clearly Paul was a learned man, so his vocabulary was a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying? So clearly here for Peter to be able to have read and to expound on Paul's letters, they had to have been in Hebrew originally for him to be able to say this stuff about all of Paul's epistles clearly. Okay, from there, let's prove that Paul came to Peter. Let's get Galatians chapter 1. We're gonna see just how long he was there. Let me get Galatians chapter 1. I didn't actually have this in my notes, it just came to my head. All right, Galatians chapter 1. Paul is giving you an account of what he did. Okay, we did Galatians chapter 1. Let me get verse. Let me get verse. It's on verse 15. 15. Galatians chapter 1, start at verse 15. Take our time.
Chapter 1, verse 15. But when it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace,
Go ahead.
to reveal his son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen.
Preach him among the heathen, because that was where Israel was scattered among the heathen. Okay, so Paul didn't go directly to heathen. He went to Israel, who was among the heathen. Go ahead.
Immediately I conferred not with flesh, but blood.
Flesh and blood.
Flesh and blood.
Go ahead.
Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus.
Right. So he was going to Damascus first when he was converted by Christ. And then when he was converted, he didn't go up, he said, to Jerusalem to them who were apostles before him. Okay. No, he said he went to Arabia. All right. What's in Arabia? Mount Sinai. He went over there to Mount Sinai. Okay. The same place where Elijah went. And when he went into Arabia. All right. And then he returned again to Damascus, where he originally had went, where he originally got converted. Go ahead.
Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days.
See that? So 3 years after. This is 3 years after, okay? Paul was going around and then doing his thing, teaching and whatnot, doing his letters and stuff like that. Then 3 years later, he went up to there and he met with Peter, and he was with Peter for 15 days. Okay, so Peter was able to see what he was saying, and seeing his letters and different things, and all that other stuff was going on, and talk with him, and so on and so forth, and exchange and information. You know what I'm saying? Have a dialogue with him and understand a certain thing that his understanding, giving him his wisdom was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people twist what he was saying. So that's all I really wanted to get right to show you that Paul did go to Peter and they had a dialogue. They sat down. He did for 15 days. Okay. A little over 2 weeks. That's enough time for him to go through and deal with Paul's letters and everything else. So from there, I want to come back. I want to get one more, show you that the apostles, at one point, they didn't fully understand the Old Testament. Let me get Luke chapter 24, starting at verse 44. Luke 24 and starting at verse 44. So we're going to get that.
Luke chapter 24, verse 44.
Come on.
And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you, while I was yet with you, all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me.
So clearly here, so everything got to be fulfilled, which was written in him, or written on him concerning him. Okay, go ahead.
Then open he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures.
See, so he had to open their understanding, because originally the disciples and apostles did not fully understand the Old Testament. They all thought that the Messiah is supposed to come and die first. They didn't understand the part. I mean, they all understood that they thought he was supposed to come and take down the Romans. They all was looking for that. They all was on that understanding of the Old Testament. They didn't understand he got to come and die first. Okay, so when you open the understanding to the scriptures, and that's when they start going on and they start teaching it accurately, because Christ opened up the understanding. You have a lot of people who understanding are not open. Their understanding is closed, so things that they are teaching is not correct because their understanding is closed. So you need the Holy Spirit, to open up your understanding to what the Old Testament is saying, as Christ did right here for his apostles. Okay, so we have that clear on that. So 1 second. Gabar, I don't know if you want me to bring you on. I don't know if you're listening, brother. If you want me to bring you on, you can let me know. If you're there, brother, shoot me. Let me know. I can bring you on if you want me to. Give me 1 second here. I want to go and bring up now information on the Hebrew Gospel. They have found two copies of the complete Hebrew Gospels. Okay, I want to be clear.
Need to be before format is currently WMA. It'll take a little time to convert.
All right, Keys. Let me share my screen right quick, so then we can start reading this through here and get all this information out. Let me share my screen. All right, so we here. So here we are. The Hebrew Gospels, do they exist? Okay, I'm gonna leave this man information. You can get this PDF for yourself as well. I'm gonna leave this here. Okay. Keys, let me mute your background, brother. Your background is getting loud. I have to mute your background. Okay. All right. So Dr. Miles R. Jones, PhD. I'm gonna leave his information where you can go to his channel and actually get this PDF right here. for yourself. Okay, so this is just an introduction to the Romanide, the Waldenese Gospel, the Romanide Gospel of John, the Catalan Gospel. So all these things have been found in Shem Tov, Hebrew Matthew, and all these things have been found. But I want to get down to the point here. Okay, some of the prefaces here about the Hebrew Gospels. I'm gonna scroll through this. You can always pause the video. This is him when he's a little younger. He's much older now. That's when he was younger. And he has a book called The Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece, Volume 1. I have this book. Go get this book. A survival of the Hebrew Gospels and the Messianic Church. He's tracing their steps from Jerusalem, and then when they went into Pella, and all the way going on down into Spain and so on and so forth. So the book is real good. I would get that book. So we have some prologues here. I don't want to read through all this prologue. It might be too long. I want to try to just get to the main information here. But again, I'm going to leave the information where you can get this PDF for yourself. You can go over back what I'm saying and confirm what I'm saying. I'm going to leave the information to his website where you can go and just click on it, and you can just quickly download this PDF here for yourself. All right. And I'm going to start here with it. Okay. The Hebrew Gospels from Catalan. Okay. This is Vaticano e Rubio, Manuscripto number 100. The text is 304 pages, including the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in Hebrew, along with preface to Matthew, Mark, Luke by St. Jerome in Hebrew as well. Jerome, by his own declaration, had translated the Hebrew Gospels into Greek and Latin, okay, apparently adding the Hebrew prefaces at the same time. This is a 15th century manuscript which has been validated as coming from a first century source. Okay, you can see Appendix A for a brief summary analysis of that proof. This was copied by Messianic scribes, believers in the Hebrew Messiah, who use Hebrew conventions such as substituting Adonai, Hashem, Elohim, etc. for the name of the Most High, Yahweh. They say Yahovah. They risk being burnt at the stake for copying or even being in possession of Hebrew Gospels. So the people who was actually really getting persecuted back in those times was not these people who believe in Caesar Borgia, a so-called white Jesus. People who believe in a Hebrew Messiah, who dealing with Hebrew Gospels and Hebrew writings. These were so-called black men and women who were being persecuted throughout the ages. People think it was so-called white people who was dealing with all this pagan stuff, but it was not them. It was black people that were getting persecuted for having Hebrew Gospels. Continuing, the name of the Messiah is used in Hebrew, Yeshua's Mashiach. Although more work needs to be done to ascertain the journey of this manuscript, historically, attestation cites the Hebrew Gospel as being extant in the medieval period in Spain, where it is translated into Catalan. A century later, it was translated back into Hebrew, probably because the original Hebrew document was no longer available, either lost, destroyed by the Inquisition, or taken into hiding underground. The Hebrew preface of Matthew says the first evangelist wrote this in the Holy Tongue for his brothers. The acknowledgement in the preface that the Hebrew Gospel was originally written in Hebrew, the Holy Tongue, Lashawan HaKodesh, is one of the several markers of the Hebrew manuscript tradition. Okay, so we have it here. He showed you a brief picture of it, and he dealing with Luke. Okay, so it says in the beginning of their gospel has in the days when Herod was king of Judea. This is Epiphanes 3:15 to 4:3. So the first four verse of Luke chapter 1, verse 1 through 4, that is a preface. The gospel actually starts where it talks about in the days when Herod was king of Judea is where the gospel actually starts. We see it here. Okay, this is the Hebrew gospel of Luke. You see right here. All right. Again, I'm gonna leave this link to get this PDF for yourself. Okay, now we're going to go to the coaching. The Coaching Hebrew Gospel, okay? Rollins Library, Manchester, UK, manuscript number 1616. The manuscript has 584 pages and includes all four Gospels and Acts of the Apostle, all of the epistles of Paul, all the epistles, okay? All the other writings, James, Peter, Jude, and the book of Revelations. It is a complete text of the Hebrew New Testament, one of the two complete texts of the New Testament in Coaching Collection. These Gospels have been ascertained to have come from a first century source. The Appendix A for a brief summary of the analysis of this evidence. It was discovered in 1806 at the synagogue of the who? Black Jews. See, even he knows this, that the original Israelites were black, okay? The black Jews of Cochin, okay? And we copied from the ancient Jerusalem script by Claudius Buchanan, okay? Or Buchanan in 1810, all right? Cochin is in India, was the territory where the Apostle Andrew evangelized and established a church that continues to this day. Bartholomew was cited by Eusebius in the early church literature as taking a copy of the Hebrew gospel to Cochin in the 1st century. In the 2nd century, Pantanius was cited as sojourning there and returning to Alexandria with a copy of the Hebrew gospel. Apparently, the Messianic community of Cochin preserved the gospels and added Hebrew translation of the Greek epistle in order to have a complete Hebrew compilation of the New Testament. So we see here, this is what they have. This is the Hebrew on this side, on the left side, and then on the right side, this is where they have the book of gospel, the book of the gospel, the good news of Matthew, and so on and so forth. But you see, is originally penned up in Hebrew. The entire New Testament, it was originally penned in Hebrew. The Cochin Hebrew New Testament, Cambridge Library. So we have all the information here. Okay. In the Manuscript Collection, the manuscript is 373 pages. This includes all 4 Gospels, Acts of the Apostles, all the epistles, but no Book of Revelations. Below is the first page of that document. The manuscript did not have a cover, so the first page is discolored and worn from exposure. The rest of the manuscript is in much better condition. It is quite readable, although handwriting in a script that is somewhat peculiar. The Cochin collection also contains another manuscript. So there's another manuscript in this collection, which is the complete text of Revelation. So it's also included, but it's not inside that book. It's along with it. Although it is definitely a different manuscript, it has been bounded along with the Cochin Hebrew New Testament in order to have a complete text. So we see it here. It's a picture of it. So they have the complete Renewed Testament or New Testament originally penned down in Hebrew. Okay. We also have the Cochin Hebrew Gospel again of Revelations. Okay. It's in the Cambridge Library. These are the numbers bounded with the Cochin New Testament. This is the first complete manuscript of the Hebrew book of Revelation ever discovered. The age of this manuscript has yet to be determined. The Cochin Gospel are also a complete Hebrew New Testament. Again, the Cochin Gospels are also a complete Hebrew New Testament, including Revelation. All of it is Hebrew. I'm dispelling this nonsense about the New Testament is a Greek book. Okay, it's not a Greek book translated into Greek, but originally penned in Hebrew by Hebrews for Hebrews. Continuing, so that means we have 2 early Hebrew manuscripts of Revelations, wherever it has not yet been determined if the Cochin Gospels and New Testament were in fact copied from the manuscript of the Cochin Hebrew New Testament. Nonetheless, having the first complete Hebrew manuscript of Revelation, which some claim to be authenticate. Oh, get in this word. I'm losing my talk. All right, I'm gonna continue. Is an erroneous discovery. The translation, analysis, and comparison of this manuscript with others, such as the Cochin Hebrew New Testament and the Hezron manuscript of Revelation, could help establish the authentic original Hebrew text of Revelation. Various scholars have opinion that Revelation comes from a Hebrew subtext, meaning that an analysis of the underlying syntax shows Revelation to be of a Hebrew origin. Okay, so there we have it here. Here's a picture of it. Again, I'm going to leave the information where you can get this PDF for yourself and skim through it. I don't want to skim through all of it. Okay, so Cochin Hebrew New Testament epistle, Cambridge University Library. The manuscript includes the Hebrew text of Acts, of the apostle. So we said we have Acts here in Hebrew, Romans in Hebrew. Okay, this is an Cogent Hebrew New Testament episode. Romans in Hebrew, First, Second Corinthians in Hebrew, Galatians and Ephesians in Hebrew. And early presumptions about this manuscript is that it contains Hebrew translations of the Greek epistle in order to compile them with the Hebrew elements to archive a complete Hebrew New Testament. That remains to be seen. The Hebrew origin of Acts is in question. We're going to answer that. Luke wrote both the Gospel of Luke and Acts as a two-part letter to Theophilus. We know Luke was originally written in Hebrew, so logically Acts was also as well. Let's just put two and two together. So if we have a Hebrew Luke, and we know he wrote Luke and Acts, then Acts had to be also penned in Hebrew too as well. See the complete evidentiary analysis of the Hebrew origin of Luke in the Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece. Again, I recommend you get this book. This manuscript of Acts should help to answer that very important question. So he's actually going through this stuff and he's translating it and he's going to issue his findings and everything. So when you go to his channel, when I leave the information, leave your email. He's going to send you his findings after his translation from these things. All right. Scrolling down, coming to the Cogent Hebrew Gospel of John. Cambridge 00 ad 170 in the Manuscript Collection. The Gospel of John raises so many historical questions. Many questions no longer believe that it was written by the Apostle John. They were saying that apparently the early church felt a Greek gospel by an apostle was needed to counterbalance the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew. Otherwise, the only eyewitness testimony to the Messiah is from Hebrew. Not a good thing to the early Greek church. The Greek church didn't like this Hebrew manuscript that's going around because it was correcting the false information that was in those Greek manuscripts that they was twisting and changing things. All right. So John was the least historical assertion as to its author. They're trying to discredit him that he had written a Hebrew original because he was making the Greek information look bad. It was heavily edited by these Greek editors. They was messing with it. More than 60 third-person insertion are in the text. Given the love gospel, the dubious distinction of having the most anti-Judaic statements in the New Testament, this Hebrew manuscript of John may go a long way toward answering those historical questions. So again, see the Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece for a detailed assessment of its authorship. Okay, this is some of it here that it was written in Hebrew. This is the Gospel of John. All right, we all know about the Shem Tov. I don't want to get into the Shem Tov. I think most people should know about the Shem Tov and why he did it, and he attached to his thing the Hebrew original. I'm gonna leave it up for a second so anyone can pause the video here and you can read through it. Again, I'm gonna leave the information. You can get your own copy of this. You have time to read through it. So I don't want to be on all night. Just want to skim through it again here. Okay, so we see it here. All right. Let me scroll on down. Get to more Hebrew. So we have the Vatican Hebrew manuscript. This is 530. So we have the Vatican has opened up their library and it's been found in it that they have Hebrew Gospels in there. They've been hiding for hundreds of years in there. Okay. This fragment is 4 pages from what was a complete manuscript of the Hebrew Gospel. Okay, so it's only 4 pages shy of a complete Hebrew manuscript. It includes the title page of both Luke and John. Its importance comes from the fact that it is a new document. Although it is clearly from the Hebrew manuscript tradition, it does not seem to be copied from the same source document as the Hebrew Gospels from Catalan or from Cochin Gospel. So if this holds true, there was another surviving branch of original Hebrew manuscript text of the 1st century. Okay, note a small red box in the left margin in the Vatican Hebrew 530 fragment 11, the name of the Most High Yahweh is used throughout, including the vowel pointings. So there is no doubt as to its correct pronunciation. This partial preview is from the title page of Luke, and the title below says the beginning chapter. The first line says, "And it was in the days of Herod, again king of Judea." We don't went to this already. This is Epiphanes 3:15, 4:3, touching that earlier. So I'm going to continue to go down. You can pause the video, take a look at that there for yourself, but you're going to get your own copy in a second. This is how it looks right here. This is what they have. This is what the Vatican has been hiding for years. They have Hebrew originals that they're hiding, and they probably got much more. Okay. And we have Revelations here. The Hazan Hebrew Manuscript of Revelation is in the British Library. Okay. Salon Collection Manuscript 273. This manuscript is the first 7 pages of Revelations. Okay, from chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 2, verse 12. Chapter 1, verse 8 is in the red box below. It reads, I am Alpha. I'm Aleph and Tav. Okay, said Yahweh Elohim, who is, who was, and is to come. So it's Hashaddai, the Almighty. Note that this manuscript uses the name of the Most High, Yahweh, accurately, with the correct vowel pointings, often a marker of messianic scribes, also instead of saying Alpha and Omega. So it's as Aleph Tav. First and last of the Greek alphabet, it says Aleph Tav. First and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The Aleph Tav, Alpha Omega in Greek, was the phrase used to mean alphabet. Before that term came into use many centuries later. So we see clearly that this Alpha and Omega term came into use way later. So originally, that was actually had to have said Aleph Tav. Here, God is literally claiming the alphabet is of him. See the writing of God for more research evidence of the first alphabet of letter symbols being given at Mount Sinai. So again, here's another book called The Writing of God. If you want to dive into your Hebrew and find out the Hebrew original, and that Hebrew was like the first alphabet in the world, his book also has that. Douglas Petrovich also has a book saying the same thing as well. All right, so he's giving you the red box here of the Revelations here and what it says there. Okay, so these things was original penned in Hebrew. The Hebrew epistles of James and Jude, British Royal Museum, manuscript number 16A2. These epistles are listed as Hebrew translations of the epistle of James and Jude, with a Latin dictation to Henry VIII. They are 16th century, 1500 to 1599 AD copies. They were presented to the British Museum by George II in 1757 from the Old Royal Library. Note that since it is presumed that the Hebrew Gospel do not exist, any such manuscript would be assumed automatically to be translation. Now, with the discovery of the Collection collection, we may be able to ascertain the authenticity or lack of it by comparison with the Collection Hebrew Gospels. Okay. There's also a Hebrew manuscript of 2 Peter in the British Library. These apostles were Hebrew who did not know Greek. We just read this in Acts 4:13. They would have written or dictated their letters in Hebrew. There is no reason to dismiss the possibility of the epistle of Peter, James, Jude, and John in Hebrew. In fact, that was the most likely outcome. Remember, the Messianic Church was predominantly Hebrew during their lifetimes. The family of faith, they would have written to would have been Hebrews. Establishing authenticity is the first step for all of these Hebrew manuscripts. Little of that work has been done up to this point. So everybody's still stuck on this Greek stuff because they have all these Greek manuscripts and be dismissing the Hebrew. But more and more is coming to light. Okay, so we see it here. This is Appendix A. I want to scroll down real quick. Okay, this is going off into, he's talking about the the Hebrew Gospel of Catalan. Okay. The most important question concerning the Hebrew Gospel of Catalan is their authenticity. Do the Hebrew Gospels from Catalan come from the original Hebrew Gospel in the 1st century? And he goes off into it. So I want to get to, and he goes into the script and show you what these things is. But I want to read certain things that he has later down here in certain texts in it. Okay. Let me scroll down. Trying to get the part. I remember what he was bringing up. So again, he goes into the gospel and he talks about when Christ was on the cross and so on and so forth, and when the veil of the temple was ripped in half, and that the Hebrew gospel says it was the temple was actually broken. Okay, it says it right here, and there the temple was broken, and both sides up and down, and the earth quaked, and the stone split in the middle. This is from the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew 27:51. So I want to read to all of this. You know what I'm saying? I want to give you your chance to go through it yourself, to see the evidence for yourself. Okay. So and when this happened, actually, the evidence showed you that the Sanhedrin and them, they could not officiate in the temple. The Sanhedrin could not go into their office, which was right next to the temple, and the priests themselves could not actually continue to do sacrifice for a while until things were kind of fixed up. And that goes back to what it says in the book of Daniel, that in the midst of the week, it says he shall cause the oblation and the sacrifice, it says to Shabbat, mean to rest for a minute. So when he died, he did cause the sacrifice and stuff to, it said to Shabbat, not cease, like done away with. It said the Hebrew word there is Shabbat. It means to cease for a time, because when he died, the temple cracked. It broke the temple, and the priest could not officiate and continue the sacrifices until it was repaired. Okay. We see here that Hebrew Gospels confirm what's been spoken there in the book of Matthew more accurately than the Greek text. So you want to go into your Hebrew manuscripts, your Hebrew writings, for you to get the correct understanding of the New Testament. And this goes to all the Tanakh only brothers and sisters who have a misunderstanding of the renewed testament. Get you a Hebrew New Testament, Hebrew Gospels, and so on and so forth, and read it from there. You should see for yourself what it's actually saying, and stop dealing with that Greek, which has a whole lot of problems in it that needs to be worked out. So we see he comparing the KJVs, the Hebrew Gospels. We go through it, so on and so forth. So again, I'm gonna continue to scroll down, and everyone's going to get the chance to get a copy of this PDF for themselves. Okay, so he's going again. This is his place, is B'nai Emunah Institute. He goes through that. He's dealing with more of what happened with the Gospels. I'm gonna read this here. Okay, correlations between the Hebrew Gospels from Catalan and the Shem Tov Hebrew Matthew. In Matthew 1:19, the KJVs says Joseph is concerned Mary will be put to shame for becoming pregnant. The Hebrew Gospels and the Shem Tov Matthew says Joseph was worried about Miriam being put to death. Okay, much more to the point that he wasn't worried about her being put to shame, but be put to death. Hebrew Gospels. Okay, Matthew chapter 13, verse 55, the KJV says, son of the carpenter, but both Hebrew Gospels and Shem Tov said Yeshua is the son of the smith. Okay, in Greek it's teknon, builder. All right, so back that time in Hebrew, there was not all like wood all over the place. They built with more stones. Okay, so he actually would be a smith versus a carpenter. Okay, and the Hebrew word again is teknon, builder. All right. In Matthew 8:5 and 6, the KJV says the centurion came to Yeshua saying, my servant lies home sick. The Hebrew Gospels, Shem Tov Matthew says, my son lies home at sick. Okay. And in Matthew 5:35, the KJV says, Jerusalem, city of the great God, while in the Hebrew Gospel and Shem Tov Matthew says, city of God. Okay. There is a scholia note in the margin of the Codex Sinaiticus of the Greek Septuagint in Matthew 5:35, which says, in the Hebrew Gospel, it says city of God. So you see have the Codex Sinaiticus of the Greek Septuagint Okay, in Matthew 5:35 has a note there that it says in the Hebrew gospel what it says. So they are witnessing to an Hebrew gospel original. Okay, and then in Matthew 12:42, the KJV says the Queen of the South shall arise in judgment, but the Hebrew Gospels and Shemit of Matthew says the Queen of Sheba. Right to the point. No mistake who the Queen of the South is. No mystery there. The Hebrew Gospel tells you exactly what he's talking about. So the Queen of Sheba will rise up in judgment. Okay, so we have that. And we have in Matthew 28:9 of the KJV, Jesus met the two women saying, all hail. But in the Hebrew Gospel, Yeshua says, may God save you. And in the Shem Tov, may God deliver you. Okay, so we have that. We see the differences here. It's much more accurate in the Hebrew manuscript tradition that we have. And we have these markers. Survival of the Hebrew manuscript tradition. The Hebrew Gospel from Catalan and the Shem Tov Matthew were both written in Hebrew in Spain within the span of a century. They are two examples of Hebrew manuscript tradition that survive outside hegemony of the Roman Church. Other manuscript examples of the Hebrew manuscript tradition have recently been found: the Cochin Gospels and the Cochin New Testament in Hebrew, the Waldenese Bible in Romana, and the Catalan Gospels. The Waldenese were martyred by the Roman Church for millennia for not accepting the Romans' authority and interpretation of Scripture. According to their oral tradition, their Romanite Bible predated the Latin Vulgate. I have found markers that designate texts originating from the Hebrew manuscript tradition. Here are 4 markers here. The first one, the name of the Messiah is derived from the Hebrew, Yeshua, Yeshu. We see that in the Hebrew Gospel, where it says Son of Man, again in the Vulgate, KJV, right? What it says right here, it often says Son of the Virgin, okay, in the Hebrew Gospel and the Romanite Bible. Although it isn't in the Shem Tov, but those other ones have it in here, clearly speaking to, again, the Messiah came through a virgin birth. All this argument people are having, if they would go back to the Hebrew manuscript and the Hebrew Gospels, in way was original pen, all this stuff about did he come through a virgin birth dies immediately, because right here is Son of the Virgin, all right? KJV, John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. KJV. In the Romanite book of St. John, it says, in the beginning was the Son, and the Son was with God, and the Son was God. But in the Hebrew Gospel, it says, in the beginning was the Son, Eloha, and the Son of El was with El. Right here, clearly, right to the point, no confusion at all. Okay, no confusion at all right here about accurately what it originally said in John 1:1. In the beginning was the Son, Eloha, and the Son of the Most High El was with him, was with El. Not that the Son was God. This is the confusion when you come into bringing into these other languages. They misrepresent the original Hebrew. Fourth marker, the preface to the gospel in the Hebrew manuscript tradition will often state that the gospel was originally written in Hebrew. So these are the markers here that we find to show that we have a Hebrew original. And then we have appendix B. This goes up into some other stuff. I want to get to the point where I can just show you the brother's information. We could get your own PDF of this. So this shows you some of his credentials. Hebrew, he deciphered Hebrew inscriptions that was found out there. Okay. Dr. Miles Jones. Okay. People sending him Hebrew inscriptions and what they found on the ground. And he goes and decipher these things. This man is very accredited and have all the degrees you need. Dr. Miles Jones, by the Writing of God. This is his website here. Go to writingofgod.com. You'll see a portion in there where you says you can download, free download. You put your email in there, I think your name and your email, and this PDF will pop up. Okay, again, you can go to the writingofgod.com, the section that says free download. You can put your name and email in there, and you would get this PDF that I'm reading from here right now. Okay, this is his book that he has, The Writing of God, Secret of the Real Mount Sinai. Okay, to go into the Hebrew, there's a little bit of explanation about it here. Go into that and scroll down some more. So that's more evidence on that. And there, I'm gonna leave it there. He knows about David Roll and everything else. So again, you can have this PDF for yourself and go through all of it. This is the book I have, The Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece, Volume 1. Okay, the survival of the Hebrew Gospel and the Messianic Church. This information also shows he goes off into who was the Pharaoh of the Exodus. Okay, he goes through and showed the information of how you can identify who the Pharaoh of the Exodus is in this book. Okay, highly recommend this book right here, Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece. Okay, and then there's some stuff here about this book. We're about to bring this information to a close. Okay, I'm good. I went to about an hour and a half, so to speak. That's what I wanted to do. I want to stretch it out because I got a lot more information I want to bring out in other classes. So I want to try to just keep them down to a minimum, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just so I can punch out all this information that I have that I need to put out there, so people can just reference to it. You can email him right here, milesjns@yahoo.com. You can email him and tell him that you want to get this PDF. If you don't want to put your name in his website and all of that stuff, you can email him. And this is his email. Email him, and he will email you back this PDF that I'm reading from here. This one right here. This is the PDF, the Hebrew Gospel. He's gonna email you this PDF, you this back. All right, that's what I did. I emailed him, and he emailed me this back. All right, so we have it. More information here about Dr. Miles Jones. I mean, there's a lot of information in here, so I want to go over all of it. We will be here probably about another hour or two just to detail everything that he goes through this PDF. You can just scrolling down. It's another book, The Coming Crisis. Okay, I'm going to get that book. So Most High willing, I'm going to get that book, see what it's all about. And I'm just going to scroll down again. This is you can this way purchase your copy of all his books, the writingofgod.com. I want to deal with he teaches children how to do math. Okay. So again, this is more going off into his school, the Hebrew Gospel, the Cypher. He's translating them now as we speak. And yes, he teaches children how to do math. And they was tested and they passed with all flying colors. You can research Dr. Miles Jones, and you can probably get on this class where he teaches children how to homeschool them to do math. Okay. Teacher has 7-year-old learning advanced math from his home, and they've been tested by people, and they all passed with flying colors. So there's more information here with the keys from Mount Sinai. A lot of information here to go through. I don't want to read to it, but yeah, he definitely teaches children, and he has a class of where he can help your children to learn math from home. You can homeschool them. Here's a picture of it here, where these children here are doing math, big numbers. All right, not doing regular numbers, and they all pass with flying colors. You can read all about it, Dr. Miles Jones, because Jones geniuses. Okay. Beat Mesa PhDs. They beat them 14. They beat PhDs 14-6. These children, when it comes to math, you tell them a number and add it up, and they do it right here, and they would beat the PhDs to the fastest to answer it, and it would beat them. So all this is documented. Okay, here they go right here. All this is documented stuff. All right. So if you want your child to learn math, homeschool them. Get in contact with him, get into that class. Your child going to be very smart in math, right? You can get with him. It's all information. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to put the link in the description. Anybody want to ask any questions or say something, they can. Okay. Let me stop sharing right quick. All right. Going back. So we have all of that there. So we have all the information. Okay, so Okay, Gabar, you coming on? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, man. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in. I mean, hopefully they listen to the playback, man, because this was a lot of information. I'm actually kind of mad at you, man, because you didn't tell me you had all this. Like, I'm actually kind of mad at you right now. I'm like, man, you dude been holding out. Yeah, holding out a whole lot. I'm like, man, all right. Okay, so yeah, that was very interesting. A very interesting information. I I mean, my mouth was dropping. I was just like, wow, this is some good stuff. And you didn't even get to it all.
No. You know,
Like that's a lot of potent information, man. And yeah, I mean, no one. I haven't been hearing no one in the community, at least in our community, bringing it out. I mean, of course, the real scholars are bringing it out. That's actually written, went and did the research and stuff. But in our community, no one is talking about this. Like no one is talking about this stuff. And I mean, if they would just do the research and figure out like, hey, these people have testaments or letters or epistles that was written in Hebrew, it would clear up a lot of stuff. I'm actually kind of puzzled as to why when I went on Divine Prospects channel, why he stated that Nehemiah Gordon is not releasing the Hebrew version of Matthew when it's clearly documented right here. Like you just showed about how all this stuff is written in Hebrew. I mean, whether it be full like a full version of the manuscript or it being fragmented still and yet. I mean, it's still there available to be scrutinized, and I'm just like I said, this was a lot of good information, man. I mean, wow. It's actually kind of inspiring me to I mean, we may have to do a class on come back live one of these days and actually start dealing with the Paleo Hebrew now, because that's what it looking like it's going into. Like we're going to start dealing with the Paleo Hebrew. I actually also want to eventually share. I got to do more information on it, but the actual the archaic Greek, because the archaic Greek is more closer to Paleo Hebrew than the Greek that they have now. So when you actually read the manuscripts and stuff, and you actually look at the script that they were writing it in, it's more closely to Paleo Hebrew, and a lot of people really don't know that. So again, it's a lot of good information. All praises to the Most High on this Sabbath that you brought this out, man. And I mean, I shared the link, and hopefully they'll go back and watch it, because it's a lot of good information. I even saw like someone had put a thumbs down on YouTube, and I'm like, why? This is scholarly work that you just brought out. So, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, there was no one. There was no one about 4 or 5 years ago really talking about the two Torahs of Paul, because I Googled it. You know what I'm saying? And because I did the class, and then I Googled it, and my class came up. There wasn't no one really talking about the two Torahs of Paul at all. You know what I'm saying? I was the first one I know of to have been dealing with that. Paul was dealing with two different Torahs, at least on this platform. You know what I'm saying? Or labeling it as the two Torahs of Paul. So this is the same thing here. So I'm just gonna blaze a trail, man, and because I know later on people are gonna come behind me and then talk about the same thing I just brought out just now. Like they start doing with the two Torahs of Paul. They start bringing out stuff about oral Torah and Paul doing oral Torah, and I already dealt with that like 2 or 3 years prior. I already don't brought that information out. So I have no problem blazing the trail out. You know what I'm saying? Because I know in the beginning they're not gonna listen, but then later on they'll catch on. So they're playing catch up, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna continue as Spirit feed me. I'm going to continue to just lay it down and continue, man, and leave the information for those to play catch up, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I think the only person that I remember, because I mean, I had knew about the oral traditions of Paul and stuff way before these guys were doing it. Now, I didn't fully grasp it like the way I did now, but the first time I heard about it was actually the brother And I wonder what's going on with that brother, Lamadi Yahoo. He was the first person I heard bring that stuff out. Like way back, I want to say like 2016, 2015, 2016 was when I first heard it, about that. So, but yeah, now I guess, all praise to the Most High that everybody is kind of starting to learn that now and really get that information. But, it's really not super new like that, where people just, it may be new to the Christians, but, amongst the Israelite community, yeah, it's definitely, catching more and more of a trend, that people is picking up that information. So, yeah, man, we're just gonna try to keep it rolling, man, and just try to continue to bring out this information. And, and to everybody that is tuning in, this is not about, well, we're gonna try to break it out first, because we want to be the ones, to say that we brought it out first. It's just, we just want to be able to give you the information that you may not be privy to, so that way you can go back and research, scrutinize, and, come, and try to hopefully, come to your own conclusion, but yeah, great information. I'm gonna definitely go back through the video. I may even get with you on the back end so I can try to get a copy and try to get with this guy who you shared the information about, to try to get copies of like the PDFs and stuff so I can have them for my records, because that's definitely information that's needed.
Con, you put the link in the chat, man. So anybody that want to come on, have a question or whatnot, can come on. So the link is in the chat now. You know what I'm saying? It's on Facebook and YouTube. Again, so yeah, man, it's all praises to the Most High in Christ. So hopefully now my brothers and sisters who are Tanakh only can stop saying that we're dealing with a Greek book. And so we have the information that it was originally penned in Hebrew, and they can start to take a look at it, start having a negative view of the New Testament, or more accurately, the New Testament, and see that how these brothers was upholding Torah, keeping Torah. It was not teaching against Torah, and that the man that came in the first century is the Messiah according to Torah. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully I don't put my little brick in or whatever, my little 2 cents in or whatever, to help forward the information to our brothers and sisters out here, especially to the sheep of Christ, the body of Christ, for those that the Most High have called, for those who are going to be chosen. There's the main people I'm targeting here, because this information clearly is not for everybody, but for those who it's for, all praises to the Most High. I'm gonna give it a couple of more minutes. If nobody comes on, you're gonna shut it down and say Shabbat Shalom to everyone that came on, and anyone that's listening is going to listen later on. Whatever it is you got to say, you can leave it in the comments. If I see it, I'm going to respond to it and everything else. But everyone should have the information where they can go to the brother's website, and you can email him and get that information for yourself. Okay. Let's not forget also, we got my brother Gabar doing a lesson in the morning, 9 a.m. Gabar, you want to speak on that briefly?
Yeah, it's not really a lesson, so tomorrow morning for Spiritual Food Sabbath meal, episode 8, we're gonna be dealing with Israelite marriage, and it's gonna be a couples discussion. So I'm gonna have 2 couples come on. One couple who's a little younger, that's in the walk of knowing that they are of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we're gonna have another couple who's actually been married in the same walk, but they've been married for much longer, closer to like 20 years. So I'm gonna be bringing both of them on. We're gonna have a little panel discussion, and we're just gonna talk about Israelite marriage, go through the scriptures, get their insight, on things, and hopefully that information that our brothers and sisters listen to will help them in their marriages, or if they're not married, and how to seek a husband, how to how to pick a husband, and for men how to find a wife, and and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be good. And then even once you are married, like the struggles and things that you're going to have to deal with, what to expect, how to apply certain scriptures that I'm going to be bringing out. I'm going to actually ask them, how do they apply these things to their marriage, from day to day. So so that way we can get the real experience, because in the secular world, like they have shows like Black Love and all these different things where they talk about marriage and the struggles, the ups and downs and stuff. We need that amongst the Israelite community to be spoken about. So I actually hope that tomorrow's show won't be the first. It won't be the last. It'll be the first of many like that, where we get to kind of have a couples discussion, amongst the Israelite community. So that's what's going down tomorrow. It'll be 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be starting. And yeah, y'all check that out. And, most high willing, y'all will be edified. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Ivy.
Con. So again, if you in a marriage or whatever, you think about getting into a marriage from a Hebraic standpoint, that show is for you in the morning, 9 a.m. West Coast time. It's 12 noon Eastern time. So yeah, do not miss that. You know what I'm saying? Because you might know someone who might be going through something in their marriage and whatnot. So you can definitely tell them to tune in, or you tune in yourself and get some information. So you can relate the video to them. So don't miss that show. If you dealing with a marriage situation, you want to know how to deal with it, you're trying to get into one, that show definitely is for you. Okay, no one is coming on. I'm getting ready to close it out. I want to give all praises to the Most High for his knowledge, wisdom, understanding, his patience with the entire nation of Israel and with the entire creation, period. For him sending his first begotten son, Hamashiach Yahushua, to come and dying for the nation of Israel, giving us a second chance. I want to thank my spiritual brothers out there that's guiding and protecting us. We continue to do the Most High in Christ's work always. I want to thank my brother Shuri for coming on, doing a bit of reading for me. Shabbat shalom to all of I want to thank my brother Gabar for a minute, brother. Yeah, kind of background. I want to thank my brother Gabar for coming on, for his words and promoting his show tomorrow. So clearly, we have a lot of, and also I want to forget this too. I forget. My brother Gabar is doing a hot seat Monday. He's doing a hot seat Monday. Gabar, you there? You want to speak on your hot seat real quick before I shut it down? We're trying to promote the brother hot seat for Monday that he has coming up. Gabar, go ahead, Ak.
Yeah. So yeah, we got the hot seat coming up Monday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Person we're gonna have in the hot seat is Michael Holloway from the Urban Apologist community. He's gonna be getting in the hot seat and should be a good one. I believe this is gonna be the first hot seat that's gonna be streaming live on YouTube and Facebook for Debate Talk for You. So this is actually going to be groundbreaking, and hopefully, we'll be able to have more guests coming in and getting in the hot seat on the YouTube and Facebook platform. Sal, shout out to Sal Showtime. He did do a hot seat with the Cherry Love, and I was thoroughly entertained. I'll just say that. And yeah, like we just hopefully we can get more people to come on this end on the YouTube and Facebook live channel, to actually get them in the hot seat. I think it would be a good thing for people to do that. I'm gonna reach out to a couple of individuals. I'm gonna see if they take the bait, and go ahead and jump in that hot seat, so that heat can get turned up on them, So y'all check that out. Monday evening, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Michael Holloway will be in the hot seat. This is the opportunity for you guys to come on. So ask your questions, engage the brother. And we just gonna try to, have a little bit of fun with it. Keep it respectful, keep it clean, because this is Debate Talk for You. So y'all already know the ground rules here. And yeah, just tune in. That link will go out as soon as we go live. Once I introduce the brother, it'll be sent out immediately, because again, this is for the listening audience to be able to come on and ask questions. I'm gonna bring on one person at a time, and then you guys get to ask your questions, engage the brother, and then we just gonna rock it out. All right.
Con, don't miss that. Clearly, you know what I'm saying. Mike Holloway, he's gonna come. He's gonna come teaching another Jesus. That's what he's gonna come and do. He's not teaching no Hebrew Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I'm gonna do a class on the Hebrew Yeshua, the Hebrew Jesus, versus this Greek or this twisting of Paul's writing Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Gotta do a class on that. But that's basically what you're gonna hear from Mike Holloway is a whole bunch of twisting of Paul's scriptures and some Greek guy, not the Hebrew Yeshua, not the one from the Hebrew scriptures, as I was just going over today. So that's what you're gonna hear. So go ahead.
He over there firing shots already, man.
I heard him. I heard what he was, and you know what I'm saying. But that's what they're doing, bro. That's what they're doing. You can say that the Messiah was asked, what must I do to have eternal life? And he said, keep the commandments. They say something different. They say, no, the commandments can't give you eternal life. But the Messiah answered this man and say, if you want that, keep the commandments. So which person y'all talking about? Which Messiah y'all talking about that says that that's not true? It must be a different Jesus y'all talking about altogether. Because the Hebrew Yahushua, aka Yeshua, Jesus, says, yeah, the commandments can give you eternal life if you keep them. So I want to do that show, but basically that's what Mike Holloway is going to do. Hopefully I can come on. I definitely want to try to get him into a dialogue or a debate if I can, because I know he debated Tazariak, and it was kind of like, Tazariak didn't really kind of like really do nothing, kind of like evened out, you know what I'm saying? But I would love to get him in a dialogue or a debate to really show him that he's dealing with another Jesus, as Paul puts it. He's dealing with another Jesus. He's dealing with another gospel. Completely. He's not dealing with Hebraic stuff. I don't think Mike even going. I don't think he even looked his English words up back into Greek. I don't think he even does that, or even much less want to take it from the Greek back into the Hebrew, as I brought out tonight. So, if I get a chance, I want to talk to him and see exactly how far his studies have actually gone. Because what I heard, it's like still in the English. You know what I'm saying? In this corrupt language. So please don't miss. Go ahead, Al. You want to say something?
Yeah, man. I'll try to keep it mild, man, because I gotta be the one to bring them on. But hopefully he don't take this offensive, But no, I mean, I spoke. I mean, I'm saying I was speaking with the brother on the back end, and I mean, he's actually a decent brother, man. I mean, aside from all things, he is like a decent brother. So I actually think that it's gonna be good, for him to come on. I mean, me and him, we kind of had some talks, and we kind of got a little bit into what we believe in and stuff like that, and we didn't have a lot of time to really like dig into it like that. I actually did extend to the brother to actually come back on, hopefully for a Bridging the Gap segment. So hopefully this hot seat goes well, and then we can bring him back on for a Bridging the Gap segment. So most high willing, things go well on Monday evening, and then or so-called second day of the week, because they may tell us, well, y'all still saying Monday, that's a pagan name, so but hopefully, man, we can, we can bring them back on for a Bridging the Gap segment, and we can dive into this a little bit more, because this brother actually is open to the discussion in a respectful manner, and a lot of whether you Israelite or whether you're a Christian, a lot of people are not willing to do that. They're not willing to come to the table and actually have those discussions. So I'll give credit where it's due, and give admiration to the brother for actually agreeing to do that whenever time permits it. He's not backing away from it at all. So that's saying a lot about the brother, even before anything else, is that he's actually willing to come to the table. Even before him, I had put out the challenge to someone else about getting the hot seat before him, and that person, it was crickets. Didn't say anything, but just continued to post up in the group that I'm on Facebook. He just continuing to post, but when I put the challenge out there, he said nothing, absolutely nothing. So, but Michael Holloway, he's willing to come forward, and to get in this hot seat, and Most High willing come back for a Bridging the Gap segment. So, I think we'll be dealing with this brother quite a bit. And like I said, judging by me speaking with him, he seems like he's a very respectable brother. I mean, he's got strong viewpoints, but where he's taking a stand on that he sees. But again, he is a more respectable brother, and I think that it'll be good.
I mean, I heard the debate that he did with the Zaryak, and he says he liked fire. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't run from, challenges or fire. So nothing I say is going to scare him off. It's probably going to motivate him more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, because Mike said he you know what I'm saying, he liked that kind of little fiery stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's not bland or plain. He you know what I'm saying? He like it kind of rough, according to what he was saying in the debate. So I'm only trying to pump him up to come on and do his thing. But if you're listening, Mike, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be a little fire over here, bro. You're in the hot seat, you know what I'm saying? So I know you like it. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, like I'm gonna try to start him off a little mild, but then I'm gonna try to increase that heat because I definitely want him to introduce himself, and I'm gonna try to get some introductory questions, get some background and everything. But then I'm gonna start turning up that heat because I got to go first, being that I'm the one that's bringing him on. So I'm gonna go first, and like I said, but I'm not gonna turn the heat up too much because I want to try to hopefully save it for whoever else is gonna come behind me, whoever that may be. So again, Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. It'll be live on YouTube as well as Facebook. Okay, so be sure you check that out. All right, the brother has agreed to be at least for about an hour and a half. It may go a little longer depending on how things go. He may get fired up and he may go 3 hours like Cherry Love did. So we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be ready for that. Again, the link will be going out promptly after I bring the brother on. The link will be out in the chat on both platforms where you could come on and you can engage the brother, ask questions and so on. All right.
Khan, tada ata. Thank you for that, brother. Again, so I want to definitely do a class. The two Jesuses, which one do you believe in? Hopefully, Most High willing, to finish that up. So clearly separate the two that's being taught and the one that's in the text. And I want to do another class. Speaking of how you wash your robes in the blood of the Lamb. What is that talking about in Revelation chapter 7, verse I think it's 14, and other places? How you wash your robes in the blood of the Lamb. You know what I'm saying? This kind of saying. What does that mean? So I want to dive into more of these sayings in the New Testament and kind of bring some clarity and some modern day understanding to these terms that's being used in the New Testament as we continue to give you the spiritual food from the text. So that's just some of the things we have in the works coming to bring out more information for the people. No one is coming on. Again, Gabar, I want to thank you for coming on, brother. You get some last words, Gabar, before we get out of here, bro.
All praises to the Most High Yahweh in the authority of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. May Yahweh keep you and watch over you all always. And be sure to check out the show tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Spiritual Food Sabbath Meal, Episode 8, Israelite Marriage, a Couples Discussion. I bid you all a farewell. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Mark. Okay, my brother Shuri, bring you on.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Very strong study tonight. Tada for inviting me on to read. I really do appreciate you and everybody who came on this Shabbat. Had a couple family members and friends that logged on this evening, and all praises to the Most High. Ba'asham Shalom Mashiach Yahweh Shai, to our Lord and Savior for just bringing us all together, and Lord willing, we will see each other, talk to each other tomorrow for the Bars Debate Talk class. And big ups to
to Sal for allowing us to use the platform. And ta for the lesson study tonight. We put in work, brother.
Con. All right, brother. Thank you for that. Shout out to Sal, Big Sal, for opening the platform up. You know what I'm saying? So as usual, Sal tells us to promote our platform. You can reach me on Facebook at James Gentle, my YouTube channel, The Way, the Truth, and the Life. I got to get this link and put it in here, and start getting it and putting into the chat and stuff like that, so you can reach out to me. So Sal wants to promote our stuff or individual stuff as well while we're on here. That's why I'm streaming from his channel on Facebook to my channel and also to Facebook. So doing what Sal told us to do to promote our channel at the same time. Again, Shabbat Shalom to Big Sal out there, brother. Can't wait till you come on this side of the platform. People can hear you, brother. You know what I'm saying? So the platform can grow even bigger and get all the truth out to the people out there. I want to thank people that came on. Donald Mathis, Shabbat Shalom, Mark, what's going on? Keon Moss, Big Vinny D. Davis, Shabbat Shalom, Mark, Tiffany Johnson, Derek Clark, everybody that came on. If I didn't miss anybody, Abaya Taylor, anybody that came on, Michael Paul, Robert Smith. I hope I'm saying that correct. I think that's all I see here in the chat. So I want to thank everyone that had came on. Everyone listen to the show after it came on afterwards. By all means, anything you hear, get a question on, by all means, leave it in the chat. And most I will definitely respond to it. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. And a shout out to all of the moderators out there on Debate Talk for You. Shabbat Shalom to all the moderators on Debate Talk for You as well. Okay. And with that, I'm about to shut it down. Next time, hopefully we get some more people on here. I guess I'm not doing controversial topics, you know what I'm saying? Even though this is spiritual food controversy, but it's for the Tanakh only brothers who don't believe that we dealing with a Hebrew original New Testament. Just wanted to do this class just for them, to let them know that we're not dealing with no Greek book, brothers and sisters. That's Tanakh only. We're dealing with a Hebrew book, the same one you dealing with in the Torah, okay? Written by Hebrews, for Hebrews. Same thing in the New Testament. And with that, I see you guys on the next show. Don't forget the bar show tomorrow morning and the hot seat Monday morning. With that, Shabbat Shalom.